This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you here with some good news today, my friends. I have an update to give you on a video that I posted last week. In case you missed it, here it is. Pride or else. Ontario Town fined $10,000 for refusing to celebrate Pride Month. And Ontario Town has been fined $10,000, and its officials were ordered to complete a mandatory human rights training after it refused to celebrate Pride Month. In this video, I expose the hypocrisy of the LGBTQ community who claim discrimination against anyone who's in favor of straight pride. And in case you guys missed that one, just in a nutshell, what you had happen here was in this little tiny town of Emo, Ontario, this group, Borderland Pride, drafted up this proclamation, this declaration that must be signed by the town council and the mayor saying, "We declare June as Pride Month, and we agree to fly a pride flag somewhere in the municipality of Emo, signed here." And just as a result of being forced to conform to this, the town council had a meeting, and the mayor was heard on the record saying, well, where's the flags for the other people on the other side of the coin? Where are the flags for the straight people? Well, for saying that, a human rights tribunal has ordered the town council to pay a fine of $10,000 to this Borderland Pride group, and for the mayor himself to personally pay a fine of $5,000. On top of that, they were all ordered to go through some sort of re-education program to, be brainwashed into learning how to be inclusive and so-called progressive. And on top of that, this Borderland Pride group says, look, if you would just apologize for it, if you would just pay up the fines, put up this flag, then we'll leave you alone. And I'll tell you what, we'll even use some of the proceeds of these fines that you're going to pay to give to the public library on the condition that you host a drag story time hour event for little kids on a date of our choosing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the good news today is this based mayor has refused to cave to the demands of this LGBT pro activist group Borderland Pride. He says absolutely no, he will not be paying this fine. Just look at some of the headlines that are going around the world today. Canadian mayor refuses to cave in to pro-LGBT demands after town rejected pride flag. Or this one, that's extortion, he says. Ontario mayor refuses to pay $5,000 fine for not flying pride flag. This from Joe Warmington. Mayor says he refuses to be bullied or to pay this fine for not flying the pride flag. So this is a man we need to be supporting right now. We need to be celebrating what he's doing and getting behind people like him and the township of Emo right now, as the LGBTQ activists have their eyes set on this man in a big way right now, especially as he's doubling down and refusing to cave to their demands. This is good stuff, folks. We're going to cover this and much more in this video, but really quickly, just before we do, I'd ask that you check me out here, pressfortruth.ca/donate, if you appreciate my efforts to bring you this info. Guys, here you can do a one-time donation with PayPal. You can contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies if you happen to be up in that space. That's greatly appreciated. You can also sign up as a Patreon alternative here. $5 a month, $10 a month. It's a monthly reoccurring contribution. Thank you so much to everybody who contributes in that way. You can also do that at Subscribestar by clicking there. You can also send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca. Again, thank you to everybody who contributes in that way. Or if you like to keep things old school, guys, you can send stuff to my P.O. box. Links for all of this are located in that description below. Thank you so much to anybody who takes just 1 minute today to support my efforts to bring you this type of information here at Press for Truth. And let's just jump right into it, folks. I want to read to you from this Joe Warmington article because he's by far the best thing that the Toronto Sun has to offer, and he does a pretty good job here in covering this. So let's jump into it. A Northern Ontario mayor who was fined for voting against flying a pride flag at his town hall says he will not be bullied into paying the $5,000 penalty. And as I reported on last week, they don't even have an official flagpole. Like, there's literally nowhere for them to even fly this flag other than on the front building of this little tiny municipality office. Nor will this mayor, Harold McQuaker, be taking LGBTQ training, as he has been ordered to by the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario. And McQuaker insisted he's not going to cave to the demands that he must host a drag time story hour in the local library either. Canada may be a free country in some places, but not so in the Emo Township, 380 kilometers west of Thunder Bay on the U.S.-Canada border. In this township, defying LGBTQ demands can not only land you a stiff fine, but also an order to attend a re-education camp too. That's probably one of the most mind-boggling parts about this, that they want to send them to a re-education camp. It reminds me of this classic scene from The Simpsons.
It's not so bad, Homer. This
is what they want to do to them.
Go into your nose and they let you keep the piece of brain they cut out. Look. Oh, hello. Hello there. Who's that big man there? Who's that?
Join us,
That's
Father.
what happens. That's what happens to people's brains when they are taking in too much of this stuff, and that's what they want to do to this man, to re-educate him, so he'll be more progressive and inclusive. It's absolutely insane. This story, which had coverage in the United States and Europe, is happening in Premier Doug Ford's Ontario, where they can't seem to keep repeat gunmen from being let out on bail, but they can throw the book at a soon-to-be 77-year-old rural mayor of a tiny village. He says, I utterly refuse to pay the $5,000 because that's extortion. Well said. Oh, man, I love that this guy doubled down. The worst thing he could have done would kowtow to this, to apologize, to pay the fines, and to let them win, and so, I'm so glad to see this man fighting back on this so-called human rights training program, and also for the fines. Whether Emo, located across from Minnesota, pays the $10,000 fine remains to be seen. I have a lot of respect for our four counselors, said the mayor. We have a special meeting of council, and they will decide what they want to do next. They're either going to pay the fine or appeal it. This is in regards to the city council paying the $10,000. He's like, that's up to them. Their choices are simple. Either buckle and bend to the pressure that's being brought onto them by the Ontario Human Rights Commission and a local pride group, or tell them to go pound salt. Well said, Joe Warmington. The township shall pay to Borderland Pride the sum of $10,000 as compensation for infringement of the code, says the commissioner. I covered all of this in my video, guys. Again, if you missed it, be sure to check it out. I'll put a link in the description below, Pride or Else. Check it out if you didn't see it to catch up on the story. By the way, look at the municipality building here. Literally the only potential place where they could even possibly fly a pride flag, which is the demands of this group. And because, he's not going to fly the flag, or more so because he said, where's the flag for straight people? They've all been ordered to do this and to pay fines. It's absolutely insane. Sounds like a prison sentence, only tougher than most criminals ever receive. It also shows when the motion was brought to council in 2020 to fly the Pride Month for the flag for the Pride Month. It was not a request, but a demand, punishable by a fine that council could not play ball. This guy says, I think Emo Township should start a GoFundMe page for donations. And honestly, I think this guy is onto something here. Should this town actually end up being ordered to have to fork over $10,000 or the mayor, by a judge or whatever, maybe a campaign could be raised for the people to speak up and say, hey, we support what this mayor says. We support what these city councilor members are saying here. And in fact, we're going to raise not 10, not 15, maybe 30, maybe 50, maybe $100,000 and reward these people for what they're doing here, because it's what the majority of society wants, and we cannot let this fringe element of this LGBTQ plus community bully people into doing this kind of stuff. So, but having said that, this guy says, let's start a GoFundMe page. GoFundMe is definitely not the company to go with here. I'll remind you guys of this. Dan Dicks kicked while down. GoFundMe campaign removed $7,000 that was stolen from PFT. This is when I was attacked by a BLM crowd at a rally. I was surrounded and I was attacked and my GoPro got stolen. Well, the following day, I set up a GoFundMe campaign to raise $800 to cover the cost of the GoPro. Well, people were so upset with the footage of what happened to me, and rightly so, that they donated, not $800, but $7,000 ended up coming in because of, people being fed up with what happened to me. And it was incredible. But then GoFundMe terminated the campaign, and they took all that money and gave it back to the donors. So GoFundMe cannot be trusted. They are, largely manipulated by these same leftist woke ideology people who put pressure on GoFundMe to cancel accounts like ours. So I would say Give, Send, Go, or Go Get Funding are better platforms to do this for. But I think it's a pretty good and decent idea coming from this guy here, especially if some judge ends up ordering them to pay for this. The city council voted 3-2 to not fly this the pride flag. And here's the mayor's breakdown of it. Again, I'll put links to all this in the description below if you want to check it out all for yourself. The problem, Mr. Quaker said that he feels he was just saying something factual. I don't hate anybody, he says. We just don't have a flagpole at our town hall. And there's only 1,400 residents in this not, progressive hotbed. So Borderland Pride, however, called not granting this motion a bigoted and discriminatory decision. So for just suggesting that, hey, what about the straight pride people? That is apparently bigoted. How are they not being bigoted against so-called, straight pride? Which I also covered in this video. Me and my friend Lee went down to Boston for the first ever straight pride parade and interviewed people in the streets of Boston. Check it out. It's all included in that video as well. But it goes on here. The letter suggests that Borderland Pride was going to donate a third of the financial compensation to the public library on the condition that it hosts a drag storytime event free for all to attend on a date of their choosing, which means they want little kids to come watch adults dress and provocatively and to read stories to little kids. Look, gay rights are important, no question. But forcing a drag story show in a village like this seems too strong of a vendetta, given the size of the venerable township. It should not be forced to be progressive like Church Street in Toronto. There must be a better way to handle this than to beat this nice mayor and beautiful place up. Time will tell what council ends up deciding to do. On Tuesday, council members will either acquiesce to these demands in the interest of having this not cost taxpayers any more money in legal fees, or choose to fight against this mean-spirited, over-the-top, and unnecessary woke madness. Well said, Joe Warmington. That's exactly what it is. And I must say, I hope these town councilors make the right decision here and say the exact same thing that the mayor says, that they're going to refuse to cave to the demands of these LGBTQ activists who are forcing this ideology upon society. They refuse to pay the fines. They're not going to go to this re-education camp. And I hope it creates a ripple effect, and that these guys, learn that they can't push people around like this anymore, and that, guys like this are going to start popping up all over the place. So let me know what you guys think. Do you support this mayor of this small town, Emo, Ontario, and his decision to refuse to cave to the demands of this Borderland Pride group. I certainly think this is good news. The worst thing he could have done would be to apologize and pay the fine. So congrats to this based mayor. So just wanted to bring all of that to your attention, guys. Once again, if you missed my report on this from last week, be sure to check it out. I'll put links to all this in the description below. Don't forget to check me out at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you appreciate my efforts to continuously bring you this information. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Please click that thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.